I've been talking for a while about a way that elected officials, really Republicans and Trump, could damage the Affordable Care Act without repealing the Affordable Care Act. And that is by sabotaging it or sabotaging it, to quote William Shatner, without actually repealing it, merely by defunding it. Okay. Donald Trump has now taken some steps to do exactly this just before this recent weekend. Donald Trump has decided he's going to get rid of the subsidies to health insurers for low income people to help them pay for health insurance, right? This will be one of those situations that will not change the law, but it will change the ability for the government to help people pay for insurance. Donald Trump is also going to allow for even cheaper policies that will have very few benefits and few customer protections. Another way that you are going to damage the end consumer of health insurance. And this is so funny, actually. There's this guy in the video, if you're watching, guy with the mustache and the glasses over Trump's right shoulder. I know that guy. That's Dave Ratner. He's the owner of this retail chain called Dave's Soda and Pet City out in Western Massachusetts. When I worked at Circuit City, I sold that guy some computers. He was not known as a right winger in Western Massachusetts, and he showed up behind Trump when Trump was signing some of this nonsense. And he is getting crushed because Western Massachusetts is so liberal, and people are furious that Dave Ratner is there defending Trump's signing of a bill that is going to be terrible for people. And Dave Ratner now has issued some major apologies saying, I'm not there because I support Trump. I've always wanted employers to be able to buy insurance across state lines or something. I'm not a bad guy. And his business now is actually significantly in danger, I would say, not of going out of business, but of being damaged in terms of profitability. Anyway, that's Dave Ratner. Back to the Obamacare stuff. The idea here is what? The Affordable Care Act will stay, but premiums are going to increase because now that the insurers are no longer going to get government subsidies, they are going to have to make up for that lost revenue by charging people more for insurance. It's very, very straightforward. Insurers are realizing that this is not going to be good for them because when they do have to raise premiums, they're going to lose some customers, right? And they were expecting $9 billion in the coming year. They had nearly $100 billion coming to them in the coming decade that they are now not going to get. This is spiteful, disgusting, vile, and it's an attempt to score political points by hurting people. And lots of those people are Trump voters. President Obama warned us about this. Others during the end of the Obama administration warned us, without repealing Obamacare, you could defund aspects of it. And I've been talking about it for months. But here's the kicker. Trump does this, and it crashes health insurance stock prices. Now, I'm not taking a position on whether that's good or bad. I've said before, if we had single-payer health care, it would probably also be bad for health insurance companies and their share value. But this announcement was bad for health insurance stocks. And Trump goes on Twitter and brags about it. Trump took to Twitter over the weekend and said health insurance stocks, which have gone through the roof during the Obamacare years, plunged yesterday after I ended their Democrats' windfall. Number one, days ago, Donald Trump was taking credit for the massive stock market rally that we've seen during the first 7-8 months of the Trump administration. Now Trump is cheering that his actions have crashed the stock prices of health insurance companies. From one day to the next, Trump has gone from stocks are doing great and it's because of me to stocks have plunged and it's because of me. And somehow both are good. Well, which is it? Both can't possibly be true. But my bigger question to Donnie Boy is, if you're okay with crashing health insurance stocks, if you're doing something you feel is good for people with health care, why not just do single payer? That's what would be the best for people. And it would also be bad for health insurance stocks. And you could brag about it the way you're doing now on Twitter. I don't understand the logic behind this, and it's probably because there is no logic. What I want to touch on is how this will impact you. There's basically two parts here. This is part of the cost sharing reduction program. Part one is that insurance companies have to give people on silver plans whose incomes are under 250% of the poverty line lower deductibles and co-payments. That doesn't change with what Donald Trump has signed. Part two is that there are budget items that give insurers money to reimburse people, or rather, give insurers money to reimburse them for having lower deductibles to low-income people. That's the part that Trump is crushing. Part two, part one is not going to be touched. How much money could you make shorting stocks if you knew ahead of time what stunts Donald Trump had planned? And shorting stocks is basically, it's a way to, you're basically borrowing stocks with the idea that the price is going to decrease and you can make money off of the decrease of the value of a stock. Imagine if Vladimir Putin, who according to some, including Fareed Zakaria, is by far the richest person on the planet, even though he does a good job of hiding his wealth. Imagine if Vlad knew what stunts Trump was planning. A lot of money that could be made about on that. Maybe we'll learn about that someday. The video you just watched was made possible by support from you. Please go to patreon.com/David Pakman Show. You can make a pledge of as little as $1 per month. And every dollar helps to support the work that we're doing, particularly in light of the YouTube ad boycott, which has been really bad.